The 23rd of September, 2019, marks the 20th year in which Bi Visbility Day has been recognized as a day to not only celebrate bi identities, but to challenge and confront biphobia. To do this, the Equality and Diversity team and Brighton Students' Union have teamed up to speak to our bi students and staff about what the day means for them, why it's important to recognize it, and how we can all be allies to the bi community. What does recognizing Bi Visbility Day mean to you?
For me, Bi Visbility Day is the only day probably when I am outwardly bi, if there is such a way of explaining it like that, because I am otherwise in what other folks would perceive as a cisgendered heterosexual relationship. But my identity means a lot to me because there were many years where I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin and was trying to fit into some kind of pre-defined idea of what it is to be female, what it is to be a woman, what it is to be in a cisgendered relationship. And actually that sort of undermined who I believed myself to be. And since I have reaffirmed my own queer identity as a bisexual woman, my life has been so much better.
Bi visibility is, and recognizing it is kind of an awareness that people aren't what they appear to be. When I was younger, when I came out, people would be like, so when are you going to make your mind up? And it's kind of like, that isn't a thing. It's just kind of, I'm open to a different range of people, to say the straight person or a gay person.
So recognising Bi Visibility Day is really important to me because it means that bisexuality is validated, and so often it's not. And people like to think in binary terms like you're either straight or you're gay, but there is a thing called bisexuality, and people need to recognise that it and respect it as its own identity.
I like to think about it on the more individual and personal scale, because it's good to see a big media storm around LGBT plus pride and about bi pride, trans pride, gay pride, all that kind of thing. But the end goal of that, in my mind, is to make somebody who is bisexual feel better about themselves. I think it's important that it's recognised as LGBT because it is LGBT, by its nature, by definition. It's often the case that the media will focus on gay and transgender issues, and kind of bisexuality is sort of that puzzle, that it is a part of the bigger picture.
So the B in LGBT is so important because I think that if we look at the history of activism in the LGBTQ plus community, bisexual people have always been involved in that, even when the B wasn't explicitly part of the acronym. I think that moving forward, we need to continue to recognize that bisexual men particularly encounter quite a lot of prejudice, and that we have a shared experience as bisexual people across everyone with the community.
We need just more casual use of the word bi. I feel like I have to be a certain way with women and men if I'm dating one or the other, and that is to consign to being heteronormative or being gay, and through that I tend to flip how I dress and how I look and how, because I feel that sort of pressure, and I feel like being bi, I should be able to do that without being called gay or straight, but also not feel like I have to consign to a certain way of being.
So important. So, for example, in Orange is the New Black, they've only just said the word bisexual in like the last season. So we have the main character is bisexual because she's with men, she's with women, she likes both, but they haven't actually said that word until the last season. So it's like they just say, oh, she's gay now or she's straight now. It's like that's not how it works.
If you had one top tip you could give us in terms of being a bi ally, being effective and a strong bi ally, what would that be?
One tip for being a bi ally, one tip for anything really, is just to learn more about the subject that you're thinking about.
I have friends who say, oh, she's my gay friend. I'm like, that's not right. So don't call someone who's bisexual and they're bisexual gay or straight, because it's just not right. So just accept that people have their bisexual identity and call them like refer to them as what they are.
Being a good bi ally is not asking invasive questions about sexual preferences or, you know, asking questions like, oh, when are you going to make your mind up?
How can you be an ally to bi people? I think that, yeah, recognizing that when you see a straight couple at Pride, or who you perceive to be a straight couple at Pride, they might not be exactly what you think.